Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless.
She did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy.
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the public, will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs?
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Courtroom as keeping tabs on her for Diddy.
Day 2 of the explosive, drama-packed trial against Diddy just went down, and Cassie dropped some seriously wild, gut-punching bombshells in court that left everyone totally shook. She spilled the tea, testifying that Diddy forced her to get down with escorts in ways that were straight-up nasty and humiliating, claiming he made these escorts do gross stuff like peeing on her. And the details of his alleged abuse are so horrifying they're hard to even process. Prosecutors came in hot, bringing one of the escorts to the stand to back up her story with even more jaw-dropping dirt, while hotel staff hit the courtroom with a massive shocker, revealing Diddy was sliding them stacks of cash to keep their mouths shut about his shady, messed-up behavior.
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy, who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner, masturbating and watched. He says he once saw Diddy throw a liquor bottle at Cassie and heard him beating her in another room.
Why did Cassie break down sobbing on the stand, her voice cracking as she relived the trauma? And what did the escort spill about Diddy's twisted, controlling actions that made the whole room go silent? The stories pouring out are so disturbing, they paint Diddy as a total monster who thrived on power and fear. Prosecutors are laying it all out, saying Diddy wasn't pulling this off alone. His whole inner circle, from his chief of staff to his beefy bodyguards, was allegedly in on the cover-up, helping him bury his dark secrets deep. They claim Diddy shelled out big bucks to silence hotel workers and went to extreme lengths, even kidnapping Cassie when she tried to break free from his iron grip. The escort, a dude named David, dropped a bomb, saying some of the things Diddy forced Cassie to do were so vile and messed up that even he, a guy used to the wild life, flat out refused to go along with them, saying it crossed every line.
Emily Johnson actually said that Cassie did choke on the urine of an escort when Diddy forced this escort to allegedly urinate in her mouth. They did say inner circle numerous times, I believe, really trying to amplify the RICO charges. Diddy couldn't have done all of these crimes without his inner circle, right? Without his bodyguard, without his driver, without his assistant. They talked about alleged kidnappings. That one time he kidnapped his assistant to go and try to find Cassie when he thought Cassie was cheating. I mean, it was wild. I feel like I could go on forever, but I won't. At a certain point, wasn't able to perform for Diddy and Cassie. He got erectile dysfunction because of what he saw. He said he saw Diddy at one point after an encounter, drag Cassie by the hair from her computer seat all the way back to her bedroom while she was kicking and screaming and crying. And after she apologized and came out, he said that Diddy said, okay, you guys want to continue? And he couldn't perform. And that was it. From there, he could not perform after that. And he saw Diddy abuse Cassie 2 or 3 more times after that as well. And this is a muscular guy. He was 41 years old, a bit smaller, but again, he seemed incredibly affected by what he saw.
And was there, just quickly, Lauren, was there a point where he talked about, because I was trying to follow the blogs, and it's hard, you were in there, it's difficult for us on the outside. Did he talk about Cassie at one point being under the influence of drugs to the point that she was slumped over, and Diddy still wanted him to have sex with?
Cassie, who was just a wide-eyed 22-year-old when this nightmare kicked off, told the jury these so-called freak-off sessions were pure hell, lasting anywhere from 1 to 4 grueling days, leaving her so physically and mentally drained, she needed IV fluids just to get back on her feet. She said Diddy would spike her drinks with drugs like ecstasy, and the first time it happened, she was so out of it she didn't even realize what was going on until the session was over, and Diddy casually told her he'd slipped her the drugs. Cassie said Diddy didn't care one bit about her pain or how broken she felt, and if she dared push back or say no to these freak-offs, he'd allegedly lose it, beating her, dragging her across the floor by her hair, or punching her until she gave in, too scared to fight back. She told the court Diddy forced her into these drug-fueled hookups with male escorts while he sat back, sometimes chilling in a corner, watching like it was his personal show, and getting off on the whole scene.
Cassie told the jury that Diddy forced her into drug-fueled sex acts with male escorts while he watched, sometimes sitting in the corner and masturbating. Through tears, she said she took drugs to numb herself, ecstasy, cocaine, and ketamine, all of it allegedly supplied by Diddy. She said the freak-offs included as many as 4 male escorts at once and typically lasted 36 to 72 hours. The longest, she said, the longest freak-off that she says she was forced to perform in lasted 4 days. She said they took place around the world, from New York to Miami to Spain to even Turks and Caicos. And at every stop, Cassie said the hotel rooms were stocked by Diddy's staff with baby oil, condoms, and drugs. And she says that these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and covered in urine. Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless. But she said she couldn't say no because she says Diddy threatened to release videos of the freak-offs with her.
Cassie admitted she turned to drugs like ecstasy, cocaine, and ketamine, all handed to her by Diddy, to numb the shame and disgust that consumed her. These freak-offs could involve up to 4 escorts at a time, going on for 36 to 72 hours straight, with the longest one stretching a brutal 4 days that felt like an eternity. They happened all over the globe, from New York's flashy hotels to Miami's sunny resorts, Spain's ritzy spots, and even the luxe beaches of Turks and Caicos, with Diddy's staff setting up hotel rooms like a twisted party zone, stocked with baby oil, condoms, and drugs. Cassie said those rooms ended up looking like a war zone, covered in baby oil, blood, and urine, leaving her feeling humiliated, worthless, and like she'd never be clean again. She couldn't say no because Diddy allegedly held a sword over her head, threatening to leak videos of the freak-offs to destroy her life and career.
Before they broke for lunch, Cassie Ventura described how freak-offs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a freak-off. I'm just curious, to Lauren Collin joining us at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these freak-offs. And again, she did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these drugs. It was really, really sad to listen to.
David, the escort, said Diddy paid him $4 to $6 grand each time to hook up with Cassie while he watched. But things took a dark turn when he saw Diddy's true colors. He witnessed Diddy hurl a liquor bottle at Cassie, smashing it near her, and overheard him beating her in another room, with Cassie's screams and cries echoing through the walls. One time, David said Diddy dragged Cassie by her hair from her computer to the bedroom, yelling at her to obey him while she sobbed and begged for forgiveness, her voice breaking with fear. David was so rattled by Diddy's violence that he couldn't keep going with the freak-off, saying it messed with his head and left him unable to perform. He admitted he froze up, too terrified to step in because Diddy had so much power, money, and influence. He felt like crossing him could cost him everything. Even the escorts felt bad for Cassie, with David saying she once ran to him for comfort after one of Diddy's brutal attacks. Her eyes filled with tears, but she brushed it off, saying she could handle it, even though it was clear she was trapped in a cycle of fear and control.
Once he saw Diddy beat Cassie, he could no longer, perform and be engaged, because before he said even if they hadn't paid him, he was excited to be part of their world. He was enjoying that kind of activity with them. And then things started changing when he saw one time he was on the couch, Cassie was at her computer, and Diddy, he said, was in Cassie's bedroom. Now, Diddy apparently called out to Cassie to come into the bedroom, and she allegedly told him, just hold on a second, my personal information's on the computer. Now, Daniel describes being absolutely shocked when all of a sudden a liquor bottle, Diddy throws it from across the room right toward Cassie, and then he comes running towards her, grabs her by her hair, drags her into her bedroom and tells her, when I tell you to come, you don't wait, you just come when I tell you. And he says he then heard, after the doors closed, Diddy slapping her, beating her, yelling at her, and Cassie screaming out, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he says he was just kind of frozen in place. He didn't know what to do. And prosecutors asked him, why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you go inside? And he said, look, I know this is somebody with a lot of resources. Quite frankly, I was afraid for my life. Now, that drew a lot of objections from the defense, but the judge allowed that testimony. And he again reiterated that he was scared in that moment for Cassie, feeling like she was in a dangerous situation, but he didn't feel it was safe enough for him to intervene.
Text messages between Diddy and Cassie were flashed in court, showing crystal clear proof he was forcing her into these sessions. With no way out, her words dripping with desperation. A female escort also took the stand, dropping a major bombshell that Diddy tried to bribe her after the case blew up, offering her cash to lie and say she wasn't forced. But she outsmarted him by recording the call, catching him in a trap that could seal his fate. Cassie broke down in tears, her voice shaking as she told the judge Diddy was basically pimping her out to other men, treating her like a toy he could control. When she got too tired during these 2 or 3 day freak-offs, Diddy would allegedly pump her with drugs like cocaine, Molly, or ecstasy to keep her awake and compliant, pushing her body to the brink. If she tried to resist, he'd turn violent, leaving her with bruises, a swollen face, and a heart full of fear.
I got a chance to listen to her testimony inside court here behind us, and she was emotional. She broke down into tears at one point when she talked about participating in those freak-offs. She says that she was just 22 years old, had just turned 22 when Combs first proposed to her those drug-fueled sex marathons with escorts. She says eventually, though, they became almost weekly, and that they lasted on average, as you said, about 2 to 3 days, the longest one 4 days, and that she stayed awake by drugs that she says Combs gave to her, including ecstasy, cocaine, and Molly. She testified that those freak-offs made her feel dirty and worthless, but that she felt like she did not have a choice but to participate because she says Combs would become violent with her. As you pointed out, she says that he would bash her in the head, kick and drag her, and that she didn't know what would happen if she didn't do what he wanted her to do. She told the jury that she tried to express her feelings about participating, but in at least one text message shown to the jury, Combs told her to make it happen anyway.
Security guards from a 2016 hotel incident, where Diddy was caught on video attacking Cassie like a scene from a horror movie, also took the stand, spilling more tea that had the courtroom buzzing. One guard, Israel Flores, said Diddy offered him a fat wad of cash to stay quiet and saw Diddy forcing Cassie to stay with another man in the room, even though she was begging to leave, her voice trembling with panic. Flores noticed Cassie had a black eye, her face swollen, and broken glass on the floor from a smashed vase, showing just how unhinged and violent Diddy could get when he didn't get his way.
Thought what we saw in that awful video from the Intercontinental was bad, but to hear the actual graphic details of what Cassie and others endured day after day for years is just completely heartbreaking. And to hear the sex worker actually try to offer her aid when, you know, she was being beaten, and literally she went to him for solace, as opposed to the person who supposedly loves and cares about her. She had to jump into the arms of a sex worker, and he was literally like, this is not okay. You need to leave this relationship. And she did, unfortunately, what so many survivors do, which is, I'm okay, it's gonna be okay, basically I can handle this. And the reality is she really needed to get out because she was being violated and degraded in so many different ways. And my heart just breaks for her so much.
Melba, you're so right. Ours do as well. What's it going to be like today when she is perhaps called? We think that she's going to be witness number 3. We have a clip where we caught up with her lawyer outside of the courthouse on Monday. Let's take a quick look.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she like feeling okay with this? Is she nervous?
She's ready.
She is ready. She's also pregnant, God bless her, and visibly pregnant too. So in the later stages of her pregnancy.
Cassie was only 19 when she started dating Diddy, who was pushing 40. And she even revealed he was cheating on her with Kim Porter during their early days, adding another layer of betrayal to their toxic relationship. Now, Cassie's just days away from giving birth to her 3rd child, her belly visibly round. So her showing up to testify against Diddy, reliving this trauma in front of a packed courtroom, proves she's fierce, determined, and ready to fight for justice, no matter how hard it gets. Judge Aaron Subramanian made a huge call, ruling that the freak-off videos showing Cassie and other victims being forced into these acts won't be shown to the public or reporters, saying it could hurt the victims all over again and reopen wounds that are still raw.
It'll be interesting to see how they react and respond to the alleged victim, Cassie Ventura, because she is expecting her 3rd child and is clearly pregnant. So how jurors will kind of see that or visually how they take that into consideration, we don't know, but really they're supposed to make sure that they stay fair and impartial and pay attention to the facts, which is something even the judge warned them about before they were official jurors.
Diddy maintains his innocence against all charges brought against him. Cassie, the prosecution's key witness in the case against the embattled mogul.
The defense acknowledged that the videos of alleged freak-offs will be shown, but that those videos, they said, didn't come from the government's investigation so much as it came directly from Cassie's phone. But they were essentially trying to raise doubt about why did she hold on to these videos, and again making this argument that this case is about love and infidelity and money. But the prosecution is saying, no, you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were abused, they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking drugs and to performing sex acts. So this is only the...
Cassie also named some of Diddy's employees who helped him keep tabs on her, like his trusted assistants Christina Courtroom and Neil Dominic, who were deep in his inner circle. She said Courtroom knew all her personal business, from her schedule to her deepest fears, acting like Diddy's eyes and ears. Diddy's security guard, R. Rock, would punish her on Diddy's orders, taking her car, snatching her jewelry, or kicking her out of her apartment with nowhere to go, making her feel like a prisoner. They'd hunt her down when she tried to hide, tracking her every move to make sure she couldn't escape Diddy's control. Prosecutors are going all in, saying Diddy's inner circle, his driver, assistants, bodyguards, and even his chief of staff, made this whole operation possible, tying it to the RICO charges that could bring him down for good. They painted a picture of a man who built an empire of abuse, with everyone around him enabling his every move, from booking hotels to supplying drugs and covering his tracks. In a wild twist that's got everyone talking, one witness, known only as victim number 3, was supposed to testify and reveal her identity, but she's vanished, and prosecutors can't track her down, leaving them scrambling. Some think she got cold feet, too nervous to face Diddy in court, but it's not a huge blow since other victims are stepping up with their own chilling stories, each one more intense than the last. A juror even sent an email to the judge, begging to be pulled from the case, saying the graphic details and emotional weight were too much for their mental health, which shows just how heavy and intense this trial is getting.
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, "He would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down." She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony, Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there. Now remember, this is the first time that they are seeing each other face to face since 2018. You can imagine that emotions are very high in the courtroom right now. And this is expected to be a very lengthy testimony. Prosecutors bracing the courtroom for what's to come as she continues to testify.
As more victims come forward, their voices shaking but strong, and the testimonies grow even more harrowing, everyone asking the same burning questions. Just how deep does this rabbit hole go? How many people helped Diddy keep this under wraps for so long? And will justice finally catch up to him? The trial only getting started, and the drama's ramping up with every passing day, promising more shocking reveals that'll keep the world glued to this case.